Round here, them guns get the last word.
What's interesting about this, regardless, is the shape of this stage. This is what I was trying to highlight at the Game Awards trailer, right? We can only see this alley and that corner, and I was operating as if there was like a huge space back here. But if you look at this, it's like an L shape. Now, I don't know if you could go here, but if you could go here, that's like a Z shape. But the point is, the two players are fighting right here. And as we see in this clip a little bit later, the guy kicks the guy into all of this stuff. The stage looks really small and really cramped, and it has an odd shape. What happens if you get trapped in this wall? What happens if you get pushed over there? What happens if you get pushed in this area? Can you get pushed back towards the bridge? Like, these are just things that I wonder, and the gameplay, we haven't seen enough gameplay to know, right? You know, I was always saying that Tekken 8 is probably the most expensive fighting game ever created because 3D fighting games are just more expensive than 2D. And the fact that Tekken 8 is probably the most expensive Tekken ever, that means it's probably the most expensive fighting game ever just because of 3D alone. But the way that this game looks is probably going to take the cake. Like, just going off, look at all the stuff on the screen. Like, this is so much detail that's packed into this stage, and it's definitely more detailed than a lot of the Tekken 8 stages. Not all. Maybe the New York stage has more details than this, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would imagine that this is not the typical character intro because it just doesn't feel that way. It feels like it's something else. It feels like like probably like a world hub mode, like a story mode or something. It's just hard to believe that this is how every match will start. Hey, thank you for the dono, bro. I appreciate all of the support. Okay, first off, the way that the camera swings around is so cinematic. Tekken 8 does a portion of this where the match starts and the camera like whips into place. This is kind of doing it, but it adds like way more to it. Just like bro added way more to it with another dono. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Two of them. I think the stages will be small because it's 30 seconds round. 30 seconds. That's pretty crazy. I didn't realize that. Isn't that the smallest number count of any fighting game currently? He kicks and he parries back to make him whiff that kick, and then he immediately goes in with a counter, but he blocks it immediately. You can whiff and then protect yourself. First hit to land. So it seems like this guy didn't parry that time, and he got hit by it. And what I also thought was pretty interesting is the damage, right? So these guys have been throwing hands for 5 seconds. No one hit anyone, and the first hit did this big chunk of damage. So it seems like this game really wants you to like play around the defense and counters, but then when you do make that mistake and you do eat damage, it's going to be big damage. Also, notice the cinematic angle of the camera. Bro got knocked on the ground and the camera just moved in a crazy position. This is the normal 2D that we're familiar with, but then bro gets hit right here. Watch. Hit, and then the camera first zooms in, and then it kind of follows this guy to the floor, zooms out a little bit, but it stays in this grounded level. It stays at this level because he's grounded. Hey, thank you for the dono. You guys are very generous. Another dono. I think it's normal blocking like Tekken, but then it does movement and blocking to make it look cool and cinematic. Watching from Denmark. Shout out to Denmark, bro. Thank you for the dono as well. That is pretty interesting. Like, you know, that's something that we have to take into consideration as well, is like how much of this is player input. There's no holding back in Virtua Fighter. You'll get blown up. Well, maybe they want to change that. I'm not sure, you know. Thank you for the other dono. You guys are very generous. 4 donos back to back to back to back to back. The hits looks realistic. Yeah, so let's look at this. Imagine if the guy's just holding back. So you saw how, but see, like, you see how that first shimmy he did had to be an input, because the way that he countered so fast, it had to be. I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's tough to tell what they're going for in terms of defense. So he does this stomp here, and then he goes for another kick, and this whiffs. I don't know what this streak is. Maybe this streak is signifying something, but this guy rolls out of the way. He tech rolls, and then he spring kicks, and that tech roll spring kick is enough to evade 2 attacks, and he immediately jump up again, and this guy does another low. See, I know this isn't actual gameplay, but the way that these two characters are interacting with one another It is so this feels like we're watching like a scripted Hollywood fight. It's choreographed. It feels choreographed, right? Like, okay, you know, you kick me, knock me on the ground, I'm gonna roll, you try to step on me, and then I'm gonna spring to the ground, or I'm gonna jump up to my feet. And then as soon as I jump up to my feet, you kick under me, and it will look so cool. The movie will be fire. But it's like a video game. Analyze the Game Awards trailer, dude. It's actual gameplay. Why do you guys say that? I don't want to look at something that's like 2 months ago. Like, we could look at that, but I want to analyze this brand new thing that they showed us. Tekken fans, because it is scripted and choreographed. Well, see, that's the thing. It looks scripted and choreographed because it is scripted and choreographed. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that the defense will work in this way and it'll be so fluid with offense. It's hard to believe that this will be how like a casual level gameplay is, because this, you know, them marketing this is what they want the average person to be able to do. How, you know, at Tekken 8, they show a lot of heat attacks. That's because they want you to be able to do heat. So the fact that they're leaning into this so much is like, that's what they want to do, right? But you see when he finally jumps back up, the camera repositions. And, you know, I do wonder, so look, let's say he doesn't do this whiffed kick, and instead he predicts the detect roll and jump up. What does this game looks like if you kick him like this? That's what I want to see. What does the game do then? Does it have like ragdoll mechanics? Does it have like some other kind of like weird, like realistic hit feature? I don't know. For it to be not actual gameplay, and then for them to show this is crazy, because what are you trying to say to the players, right? Like, what are you trying to demonstrate? This is not gameplay, yet you're showing it as if it's gameplay. And you have people breaking down the gameplay elements of it, but it's not gameplay. So it's like, what is happening? Why did Sega do this? So this box that he got kicked into exploded. But what happens if you get kicked into the tires, the propane tank, this cone? Will those explode as well? Because if it does, that's going to be very goofy. We all know if someone gets kicked into a cone or a tire, it doesn't explode. A box maybe can, but I wonder what type of physics do these things have. It just blows my mind looking at this. So a 30-second round, and the time counts down pretty fast. I'm looking at the time right now. So 5 seconds left, and this guy finally stands up. How do you make a comeback there? In Virtua Fighter 5, rounds is 45 seconds. I think they need to up it to at least maybe 40, because if they did 40, then there will be 16 seconds here. Right? Yeah. And I don't know. We won't be able to see how you make a comeback with 6 seconds on the clock with a life deficit of this kind, with the defensive parry system that they have implemented in this not actual gameplay test image, pre-early access, early footage demo, Unreal Engine 4 test, Evo exclusive, IGN breakdown gameplay, right? We don't know. So I do want to see that aspect of it. But you know, something else that was pretty interesting as well. So I don't know if you guys seen the leak. You guys probably seen the leak. So this was the leak image that I'm pretty sure everyone has seen, right? First off, the character looked super ripped, and I thought that looked kind of bad. You know, the game is super realistic, but then you have like these huge like Street Fighter Tekken 8 like body builds. But you know, looking at the actual like in-engine footage, whatever, it looks better. But what also people were noticing about this leaked image is up top, whatever this is at the top is some kind of meter. Players assumed this could either be a stamina bar, a stun meter. Let's look at the gameplay one more time so we could like try to visualize that. Oh, but before we do that, what I was going to say is, so this is the leaked image, right? But then at the top, this is the actual image, right? And you can see that the two characters are doing the exact same thing. But notice about the health bars, the stun meter is gone now. There's space for it. You can see the space is still there, but they just removed it from this demonstration. Why did they do that? Okay, so this is how much meter he has. So he gets hit, he rolls, he jumps up, I don't know if this is eating away at his meter. I don't think this meter has to do with parrying. It has to do with something else. It's something else that meter is focusing on. It's not I don't think it's defense oriented, because the guy was still doing a whole lot of blocking and jumping and parrying. It doesn't look like that's what that meter is for. It's the exact same image, so the meter was fake. The screenshot at the top was released with gameplay within the last 24 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the bottom one is from like 2 weeks ago or like a week ago. So who obtained this footage like a week and a half ago and added fake? Because obtaining the image alone that early is real. So why would you then add fake stuff to it and then release it? If Anna's outfit leaked and it was green, and I was like, no, Anna's supposed to be red, and then I changed the colors to red and then release it. Like, who does that? Who tampers with leaked footage or leaked screenshots? It just doesn't make sense. So that meter has to be something, and it has to be some kind of real. And maybe us calling it meter is a mistake. We're calling it meter because whenever you have a bar that's not your health bar in a fighting game, we call it meter, right? So the term meter is what players are taking issue with, but it's probably not like the typical meter. It's probably something totally different, right? And they'll probably explain it, which is why they removed it. And whoever leaked the thing, they probably got a hold of it before the developers removed it, because they probably didn't want to show it without explaining it first, right? The same way the Tekken developers didn't show heat until they explained it. You guys remember that? They did not show heat in this. And they probably didn't show heat because they wanted to explain it. This is just normal Tekken, right? This is literally normal Tekken. Like, you do have some plus frames, some like crazy pushback and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff was also written off as like story, because we understand this was a piece of the story, right? At the time, we ignored a lot of the exaggerated pushback and stuff because we thought that was only going to be like a story kind of thing, right? So the fact that Tekken 8 didn't show heat until they could explain it, because this was the first time we ever seen heat in this trailer here. And this was a Game Awards trailer that they showed. Of course, they couldn't go on stage and explain stuff at the Game Awards. They were supposed to, but that guy was on stage yapping about Bill Clinton or whatever, right? So it ate up all their time. But thankfully, they had the tech. So this is the first instance of heat right here, right, that we ever seen. They didn't show us heat and chip damage and all of that stuff until they were able to explain it. And I would imagine the Virtua Fighter developers are doing the same thing, where they're not showing the meter until they have an opportunity to explain. Now, they have an opportunity to explain it because I believe this small piece of gameplay comes from a larger, like, thing that they did. It's not more gameplay. This is the only gameplay. Well, okay, I say gameplay, but it's not gameplay. I say gameplay because it's just a simpler way to talk about what we're looking at, right? So I don't want people like, but it's not gameplay. It's hard to say tech footage. Gameplay is just easier. But I'm losing my point.